Till I die.
This is the Field of 68 After Dark Show, the only place that you need to be for college hoops every single night. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Saturday evening edition of the Field of 68 After Dark here on Sirius XM Channel 84. That is the ESPNU station. We're streaming live over on YouTube. If you're watching there, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in the chat, ask us some questions. We'll be answering them during breaks. We're presented by our partners over at Bet River Sportsbook. My name is Rob Dauster. I'm joined tonight by Stadium Insider Jeff Goodman, and a man who could not be more excited about a potential Duke North Carolina Final Four matchup. It's Wake Forest legend Randolph Childress. Guys, Villanova is heading back to the Final Four after knocking off Houston tonight. We have a pair of interesting Elite Eight matchups that we're going to have to break down later on in the show. But first and foremost, we just watched the Duke Blue Devils and Coach K lock up a trip to New Orleans, where they are either going to face North Carolina or the number 15 seed St. Peter's Peacocks. Goodman, how impressed are you with what Coach K has been able to do with this Duke team during this tournament?
I am, but they're talented. Right. I'm impressed, obviously, but you look at them tonight against Arkansas and you're like, okay, you see the difference at basically every position. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're more athletic, they're more talented. Jalen Williams is terrific, but Mark Williams is better. And that's probably the closest they come. JD Note is terrific, but Wendell Moore is bigger, and it's hard to score on these big, athletic, long dudes that Paulo. I mean, come on. Like, he's got pros. We've known this all along. To be honest, their defense regressed for a while, and that made us question. And then Carolina went in and smacked them on Coach K night at Cameron, and it made us question them. But this is still the most talented team in the country. And I'm not sure if they're the favorite to win it all, but if you're talking strictly on talent, they are favored to win it all.
You're not going to out-athlete those guys, right? I mean, when you got a traditional big, it's more of a style that gives them trouble. If you can't take Mark Williams out and space the floor with him, I don't think you can beat him. So you better go small and pull him out and have a stretch five, so to speak, and get him out the paint. If you just got a big that can dribble handoff that plays in the paint, that's they're going to clog up everything, and that's what helps their defense getting better. I think in the conference play, teams just schemed it and kind of went small and said, "Hey, with Mark's in, we're just spacing you out." And if you got a guy that's just going to dribble handoff and can't score on the perimeter, I mean, that's why he was ACC Defensive Player of the Year. He makes a difference, and he just made Jalen Williams look average, and he's a good player.
Yeah, Duke won 78-69 tonight. AJ Griffin had 18 points. Paolo Banchero had 16, 7, and 3 assists. Mark Williams with 12 and 12 with 3 blocks. Wendell Moore had 14. They did it tonight, guys, without a great game from Jeremy Roach. And that's the one spot that I've been worried about with Duke all season long. That was the one spot I was worried about in this matchup. We saw this Arkansas perimeter defense, RC, completely eat up Andrew Nembhard and the Gonzaga Bulldog backcourt. It did not matter tonight for Duke. Jeremy Roach had 9 points, 2 assists. He had 5 turnovers. He looked like the Jeremy Roach we saw basically the entire season, and Duke still ran a very good and very hot Arkansas team basically out of the gym.
I thought he had his moments tonight. He had some careless turnovers, I think, being indecisive a little bit, but he had his moments. I mean, he was real aggressive getting to the cup. He wasn't as hesitant as he's been. I think that's gotten him in trouble. But the problem that matters, when they go with Ben Carroll, it's 4 guys that can initiate offense. Mm-hmm. And they just need him not to turn it over in key moments. But he's aggressive now. He's scoring. He's been playing good ball. He's the reason they're here. I mean, make no mistake about it. His improved play is a big reason why they're here, and he's shown he's capable of doing it. A couple of turnovers a night with careless, little lackadaisical, overpassing type of things that I think he can clean up. But the level of aggression that he's playing with the talent that's around him, I mean, they're going to be, if he's just solid, they're going to be tough.
They're not deep. Listen,
no,
they're not deep, but they got 6 dudes that can all hurt you, right? That's the one thing that makes him difficult to defend against is, and really, if you're Coach K, it's almost like you look at matchups. He's not necessarily the coach that's done that always over the years, but that's almost what you should do with this Duke team because you're going to have clear matchup advantages. depending on the next game, right? If it's St. Peter's, you're certainly going to have those matchup advantages. Carolina, and I know we'll get to it in a little bit. If they play Carolina, man, it's going to be interesting because I was there for that one, and it was so ugly, and there was so much pressure on them. There's going to be a different kind of pressure on them if they play Carolina this time.
Yeah, that matchup was so much more. That entire game was about so much more than the game. Like, the game itself didn't matter. It was the event, the spectacle, the fans coming in, the 48-hour nonstop cameras, everything about Coach K in his last game. In the Final Four, it's going to be about the Final Four. Yeah, yes, there is the storyline, right? That it's Coach K's last Final Four. It's his last national title. But there's something to play for. There's a basketball game on the line. That other game didn't matter, right? They weren't playing.
It mattered when they lost. It mattered when they lost, Rob.
But I get that. But it's very difficult to difficult to motivate yourself, and the only goal is not to lose. Right now, they're playing for something to win, and they're playing like they've gotten better every single game in this tournament. I thought they were done against Michigan State. They gave up that run. They're down by 5. They come back and find a way to win that game. I thought that they were done against Texas Tech. Like, they took a punch to the mouth in the opening minutes of that game. Texas Tech made a run in the second half. Duke closed out. I think they against the number 1 defense in the country, RC, they made their last, I think it was their last 9 shots. They didn't miss a shot in the last 9 minutes of that game.
Yeah.
They're growing in confidence.
I have a question for RC.
Go ahead.
RC, I got a question for you here.
Yep.
As a former player, you're watching Carolina, St. Peter's tomorrow, and you're Duke. Who do you want? I mean, you want Carolina again? I mean, you do, don't you?
I think they do. I think they called him out. I think that's the game that they want. I mean, make no mistake about it. It's a rivalry game. It's a game that they felt as though, you heard them say that, Paulo called him out in the ACC tournament. He was expecting to say, hey, who do you want to play? We want to play Carolina. Said that at his post-game interview. So I think that's the game they're going to want because of what happened. The guys are going to rally around Coach K and want to have a little redemption if it is Carolina.
Yeah, I agree. I think we all want that, right?
Yeah.
I love the St. Peter's storyline. I don't want St. Peter's at the Final Four. I want Duke, Carolina at the Final Four. Duke, Carolina, New Orleans. The last time the Final Four was in New Orleans, Jeff, it was Louisville, Kentucky. You remember how crazy it was?
I was there, man. I was there. Those Kentucky fans. I was there because they really didn't like me back then. So it was I had to drink a lot to get through that whole stretch there. But
you had to buy a lot of drinks for people to keep them from coming up and hitting you in the back of the head with a bottle.
Yeah. Well, Peter McNeely ain't going to come down to New Orleans with me to save my ass this time.
Yeah, don't worry. We got RC. You'll be all right.
Yeah, we got enough guys. But I wouldn't mind seeing St. Peter's either. As crazy as it sounds, I can get another week of that story as well.
Either way, we win.
It's a win-win.
We win
doubt.
either way, whether you
win-win.
get a – now, again, here's the thing. If you're Coach K and you get this far and you lose to Carolina again and they sweep you, right? They sweep you on Coach K night and with a chance to get to the national title game in your final season, like, what do you think? They will build a statue of Hubert Davis outside of the Dean Dome immediately. He doesn't have to win a damn another game. Like, if he does that, like, he might as well just retire.
He might get a contract extension for sure.
He should.
He'd get a contract extension.
Yeah. Yeah, he will. So I do just want to ask you guys this. The defense was a concern early on for Duke in this tournament, right? We had questions about whether or not they were going to be able to lock down the way they needed to. Are you still concerned about that, RC? I'll go to you first on that one.
You're always concerned when you're dealing with a bunch of young guys. But like I said, their defense is predicated on Mark Williams being available.
Right.
I mean, he just makes up for everything else. Now, the wings and Wendell Moore and those guys and Trevor Kill, they can get so much more aggressive, knowing, like, go in there. If you want to go in there and shoot over Mark Williams, good luck. You're going to shoot 30%. He's going to block it. You're going to miss it. Rebound, outlet, we're running. The biggest difference is that. And when you get into the tournament in some of these matchups, it depends on the matchup. If you're playing Duke and you can't pull Mark Williams out of the paint, you're going to have a tough time. You're not shooting 40, 50% against them with that. You're going to struggle.
Let me flip that on you. So Jalen Williams can pull Mark Williams out of the paint, right? Like he played on the perimeter. They got some stuff off of that early in this game. Armando Bacot is not someone that's going to pull him away from the basket. Last time we saw Duke play Carolina won. We just watched Duke whip up on Arkansas here. So was that just context? Is that just you had other guys playing better? What happened to those matches?
I don't think Williams played that great. And in the sense of outside the paint. I think they're more so like, hey, and there's a difference in him making a shot or two or making a play and Duke saying, are you going to make enough plays to beat us? For 40 minutes, I'm not buying it. And the Duke, and we said this before at the time, I think it was so many other things. It was just a spectacle that everybody was just mentally, those kids were worn out from it. K was worn out. Everything about that. Now this team is a little more motivated. They're dialed into what they need to do. It's too much at stake now. Now they see the finish line. This is for New Orleans. And if they're there, they meet them there, it'll be in New Orleans for the national championship. So it's not the attention. Everybody's going to be the same at that point. What's at stake is going to be the same for everyone.
Mm-hmm. You agree, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm just worried that my daughter locked herself outside of the hotel room getting the food from the robot. My 18-year-old daughter. Like, come on. What are we doing here? Like I'm telling you, she's going to knock on the door in a second because she can't get back in. Guaranteed, we're going to hear a knock.
Let me tell you this. The apple does not fall far from the tree.
What do you mean? I'm great with technology.
Yeah, I could see you being one of those guys that locks yourself out of the out of your hotel room.
She said accidentally. She texted me. Ready? Here's the text. Accidentally locked myself out. I'll wait till you have a minute. He never gave us the damn cookies. I'll be right back. I'm gonna let her back.
Yeah,
man,
it'll be interesting to see if it does get down to that Carolina. There's a lot of stories about it in Duke winning. I mean, they won it, and both teams won in each other's court. So it's a lot. It's a great story. It's a lot at stake. But I would imagine right now both teams are really playing well. But I would imagine Duke would be the favorite.
Is there any way that this can end without Coach K cutting down not just the nets he's cutting down right now in San Francisco, but cutting down the nets in New Orleans too? Like, what?
Is there any way? What did you say? Is there any way? Of course.
That's just destiny at this point.
I don't know if it's destiny. I mean, shit, we could have a Final Four, guys. Think about this: Duke, Carolina, Villanova, Kansas.
Yeah.
Like blue blood. I mean, the only one you don't have there is Kentucky when you're talking about probably the 5 best programs over, well, I don't want to say over the last few years because Kentucky's been, they weren't great last year, but whatever. 5, the big one that you wouldn't have is Kentucky. But that would be an incredible Final Four if that happens to some degree, just because, again, you're going to have big boys.
Mm-hmm. That's what you want. Look,
yeah.
I love the St. Peter's story. I love Doug Eder. I love him jumping up on tables after wins. Shaheen Holloway and what he's been able to build there. It's great. It's fantastic. It's the Cinderella to end all Cinderellas. It feels like we say this every year when there's a run, but this is the Cinderella to end all Cinderellas. And Goodman, turn off your notifications. Damn.
Yeah, I can't do it. I don't know. It's on my phone.
We're 2 years in the field of 68, and you still have no idea how to turn off your notifications. Anyway, I love the idea of St. Peter's. I don't want St. Peter's at the Final Four. You want the big boys, the biggest stories.
Why are you so negative on Shaheen Holloway? I mean, come on.
How can I be nice? I'm not negative on Shaheen Holloway. I'm
telling Shaheen. I'm texting him right now saying you do not want Shaheen Holloway in New Orleans.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna tell him to come on here and light a fire under your ass. That's bullshit.
Although I will tell you this.
This would be one of the greatest stories ever if St. Peter's got to the Final Four. And they could win another damn game. They could beat Coach K against Shaheen. Who's the better coach? Shaheen Holloway.
Well, you know what would happen then, right? St. Peter's would absolutely end Coach K's career, and Doug Eder would be dancing on his grave. That's what he'd be doing with the mustache. Here, I have a question for you guys. RC's got the beard going. Dagan's got the beard going. Goodman, I don't know if he can grow a full beard. The beard going. No, if St. Peter's makes the Final Four, are we gonna have to cut just the mustache in honor, or is that only nuts hanging Dagan?
Yeah, whatever we need to do, man.
Doug Edert. Can we bring Doug Edert out in New Orleans? Regardless, listen, we know he's going to be in New Orleans, right? Like whether they get there or not, he's going to be there. We have number one thing is getting Doug Edert on After Dark next week in New Orleans.
Yes,
has to happen.
I'm not worried about that.
And you should honestly, if that happens, Rob, you should bring the razor, bring the razor and get to work while he's on set.
Yeah, I might do that. I might do that. Like while we're live, just sitting there with the trim.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Oh,
good thing is, hey, the only good thing is I don't have to get in that Providence mascot. Thank God, man. I was worried for a minute.
And so right now on the live broadcast, we have Dana O'Neill and Pat Forty in there. Coach Case is trying to cut down the nets, and you have Dana O'Neill and Pat Forty bothering him. Let the man celebrate, Dana. Let the man celebrate, Pat.
I remember in New Orleans 10 years ago, 10 years ago when they won the whole thing. Kentucky did. David Warlock literally came up to me afterwards, and he was like, "Who do you want?" And I'm like, "Anthony Davis." And he brought Anthony Davis over to me after that, which was kind of cool. That's kind of the one thing.
You don't have juice like that anymore.
No, I can't get that done anymore. Hell no. Now they're calling about my cookies. How about this? My daughter, man, like she went downstairs.
Listen, I think this is the perfect time for us to.
Issues, man.
I think this is the perfect time for us to take our first break to go hear from our sponsor. So listen, when we come back, we're going to be talking about Villanova. We're going to be talking about Houston, and I'm going to tell you why. I still think that Villanova has a chance to make some noise, even if that injury to Justin Moore is as bad as it looked.
Clear 90 seconds.
Can you get it together, Goodman?
Disaster tonight.
Your notifications are going off.
But they're going off on my phone, and they're saying they're off.
Turn it off. Turn it off.
I've tried.
Turn it off.
Can't do it. I'm going to turn off my whole phone in a second.
We're about to turn you off on the Zoom and just go without you. We should kick you off and just get Talia going on over here.
Well, how can you get her? She's downstairs trying to get the robot. Can't get her.
She goes give us some chocolate milk and cookies.
Exactly.
All right. Can you really quick? Can you explain to the chat and let them know what the robot is? Because that's
the robot is the food delivery robot. It's $30,000, and they pay like $5,000 a month for it, I think. And the robot comes upstairs and delivers your food. So my daughter's been waiting for this for like four nights since we've been here. She orders it. I don't know what happened, but she locked herself out, and she went down to try to figure it out now. So hopefully she's going to come up with some damn milk and cookies.
Hey, you know what? That reminds me, RC. Do you remember how good that 30? Massive the cookies that we had at the casino was?
Yeah, the frisbees.
Were they good?
They what do you call those things? It's like the cast. It was a skillet. They took it was a skillet.
Oh, I love that.
And they made a cookie in a cast iron skillet, and then they gave you a bowl of ice cream that you just plopped on top of it.
10 seconds.
Man.
It's elite level.
Good. Yeah. I went into a diabetic coma after eating that. We're back. This is the Field of 68 After Dark live, Sirius XM Channel 84. That is the ESPNU station. We're streaming over on YouTube. If you're watching there, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If we get to 300 likes on this video, I will chug a beer on camera and then go to sleep because I'm very, very tired. Rob Dauster here with Randolph Childress and Jeff Goodman. We just spent probably too much time breaking down Coach K and the potential of him getting back to a Final Four where he'll take on North Carolina. We'll preview some of these Elite Eight games that are happening on Sunday here.
I don't think we spent too much time on Coach K. I mean, he's the damn GOAT, and he just made the Final Four with 2 more wins. He could go out the way that, like, it's amazing.
Here's the thing. Like, look, I love what this Duke team is. I really, really enjoy watching this Duke team play. I'm so tired of the story about Coach K, like the end of his career. Like, I get it. He's awesome. He's great. If he wins a title, it'll be six titles over the span of 28 years. Like, he's the greatest to ever do it. But like,
So you don't want Shaheen there? Wait, you don't want Shaheen there? You don't want Kay there?
No,
Who do you want there?
I
Who do you
want
want
Kay in the
there?
Final Four. I want Kay in the
What do you
Final
want?
Four. But you know what I wanted him to do?
You want Danny Hurley there. That's what you want.
I would have loved if UConn was there. Don't get it twisted. I would have loved if UConn was there.
They were gone a long time ago, Bobby. A long time ago.
I can't even remember seeing them play. They've already had like 3 guys declare for the draft. That's how long ago it's been. Luke Murray's already living in the portal. That's how long ago it was, right? He doesn't even remember what their play calls were. But I have Coach K ending fatigue. I wish he pulled a Roy Williams and just
that's my daughter's in the elevator with the robot right now. There's the robot.
I'll tell you what, I like the Coach K story way more than the story about your daughter and this freaking robot.
All right. What's next?
Villanova and Houston, man. Let's before we talk about Justin Moore and the impact that any potential injury that he would have going forward. How impressive is it that they're back here? Goodman, I said this the other day. This team reminded me so much of the 2016 team. Remember, they got smacked by Oklahoma early on in the year, and then they turned it around. And we the whole season we kept saying, I don't know if they're good enough. I don't know if they're good enough. They don't have pros. They don't have this. They don't have that. They just got a bunch of dudes that don't make mistakes, that don't beat themselves, and make just enough plays to be able to win.
And they're so much fun to watch. I don't know if RC, you should appreciate it even more than we do. Because as a former player and a coach who's coached in the ACC, high-level dudes who are hard these days to get to buy in, my God, like Jay Wright, what he's done with that program. They just moved the ball. As I tweeted, like they will turn down a good shot every single time for a great shot. It's amazing. Now, I know they didn't score it great. They didn't shoot it great tonight, but it's not for a lack of like discipline or playing the right way. And defensively, they were terrific tonight.
They're so fun to watch because, again, they don't beat themselves. You try to get smaller, non-athletic guys. That's the way they're supposed to play. You drive the lane, you play off 2 feet. You guys are watching these bigger athletic guys trying to Euro step and do all these other different things, and they're just not beating themselves. They're just coming in playing off 2 feet. Shot fake. Guys don't shot fake anymore. They don't work on it. And people talk about it's on the scouting report, and you sitting there, Brandon Slater, shot fake, you're going for it. You know, Samuel, shot fake, you're going for it. And these guys continue to, to go after it. They just do what they do, and they don't beat themselves. And it's fun to watch. And I was disappointed to see what happened to Justin. I know him and his family. That's a brutal. You knew what it was when you saw it, and it's going to be tough for them going forward. But a hell of an accomplishment, and this team just figures it out.
Yeah, we might as well just go there. It was it. I don't want to say that what it was, but it very much looked like it was. He blew an Achilles tendon. The way that they were reacting on the bench made you think that it was something that was pretty serious. And when it's Achilles, you can know, right? That's something is you don't need the MRI to tell you definitively. Like you can know. And Jay was very in the press conference. He basically said, "I don't expect him to be playing anymore." So that means Caleb Daniels is going to step into the starting lineup. That means that they are basically going to be 5 deep with maybe Brian Antoine coming off the bench because they're already playing without Jordan Longino. Longino, however you pronounce his name. So it's how can Villanova can they win in the Final Four? Can you play 5 guys and win? I mean, we've seen North Carolina do it for
one game,
part of a month.
Sure, for one game, why can't you? Now, again, the key is like Eric Dixon. Can he stay out of foul trouble? Right, like. You're going to go up against whether it's Miami, probably Kansas. David McCormick's a big boy, and they could throw Lightfoot in there, and they got Jalen Wilson who can attack the basket. That's my biggest concern with Villanova is, if somebody gets in foul trouble. But for one game, yeah, I mean, like, listen, RC, this, like, they're still young kids. Like, they can play 38 minutes, especially with the TV timeouts right now during the NCAA tournament. They are long, so they'll get those breathers if you play it correctly. But again, it's foul trouble. That's the biggest worry to me for Villanova. And
the
Justin
good thing
Moore,
about that, The good thing about that is Villanova doesn't foul. Like they don't foul. They don't turn the ball over. They don't make mistakes. They don't give up defensive rebounds. That's all they do is they go out there and they just do the things that you have to do to be able to win. Like we talk about fundamentally sound teams. They are so annoyingly fundamentally sound. It's
in every way. That's why they win.
Someone's going to have to play out of their mind, though. They're going to miss. They need Justin's ability to score. Who's going to score? He can stretch the floor. He can shoot it.
Yeah.
You take that away now. Now you're just loading up on Colin Gillespie. You're just loading up. You're closing out hard on him.
Caleb
Everyone
Daniels.
else
has to be the guy.
Man, he's got to step up. And then Brandon Slater. It's got between Samuel Slater's Dixon, one of those guys got to step up and be a guy for that game, whatever game that is. If it's the first, then it's semifinals or the finals. Somebody else got to step up, but they're going to miss Justin Moore's ability to make shots.
It's got to be November Brandon Slater. And back before he got hurt, he was a factor. I mean, he was shooting the three. He had confidence.
We're talking about him as a pro.
Yes.
I still think he can be a pro. I honestly think his confidence is shot on the offensive end. It's not nearly what it was back in November and early December. But if I'm Jay Wright, I'm telling him, like, we ain't winning without you. We have no chance unless you give us 10 points. We'll take, like, I'm going to yank your ass for Brian Antoine if you don't shoot the ball, because we can't have you out there as an offensive liability now.
Yep. They got to score more than 50 points. I mean, I know Houston's a good defensive team, but they're going to struggle to score unless somebody else steps up that's not accustomed to making shots.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb Daniels is a guy that has been a scorer in a past life. We've seen Jermaine Samuels pop off for 25 or 30 points. So it's doable. It's definitely doable, especially if you end up with Miami, right? If Miami finds a way to get to the Final Four, they actually match up really well with Miami. I don't necessarily think that that's going to happen, but who knows, man? Apparently the ACC is basically the NBA at this point, right, RC?
Seriously, the hell is happening with the ACC?
And it's funny because everybody's all this talk about the ACC. No, you sucked earlier in the year. You did.
Right, exactly.
And we figured it out. Like, stop all this narrative like, the ACC. No, you were down. Carolina's an 8th seed.
I hate when this happens.
Teams just got better into the year. It's great coaching. They got better. It's happened. It can be
you get a little luck.
Both things can be right. Yeah, you get lucky matchups. Teams got hot.
Come on.
Duke's talented. We get it, but stop this narrative that it was it was not a great year in the conference.
That we were wrong. No, the narrative is we were wrong.
Yeah, you know what we're talking about.
We weren't wrong.
Stop it. No,
exactly.
You were 4-16 against the rest of the ranked teams in the like, get out of here with that.
Yeah,
RC's frustrated, man. He's done with this.
I can't tell you. People stop me all the time about that. Yeah, you guys were saying. I'm like, and I'm sitting there like, you know what? If you don't shut up and get away from me with this foolishness, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, get the hell away from me.
And now you know what I go through every day. Every day.
I said that. I said, now I know how it feels to be Jeff Goodman. I got people putting up on me at the store.
Yeah.
I'll say this about it though. I'll say this about North Carolina. I don't think that we gave them enough credit for the run that they made late in the ACC because of how bad that league was. They've won 16 out of 19, 15 out of 18, something like that. They won, I think it was 9 out of the last 11 in regular season play, including the win at Duke. And I know they had a loss to Pitt in there. Like, yeah, that's ugly. I get it. But I don't think we gave them enough credit heading into March for what they were able to do down the stretch of the regular season, because we all thought that the conference was just dog shit, and it was a little bit better than dog shit. Once
I talked to Larinaga, about that today, and one of the things he said was, listen, the league, because of transfers, it got better, and I agree, but I think you could say that about every league and every team that had a lot of I mean, look at Arkansas. Right, they got better. Obviously, they were terrible.
The entire country is transfers.
Exactly.
You're not the only one.
Other than Villanova and Purdue, everybody else had transfers. If you're in UConn, of course, everybody else had transfers.
Mm-hmm. UConn could have used a transfer too.
Yeah, well,
no, but I think that it was one. Virginia Tech took a while to figure it out, and we thought that they were going to be one of the top 2 or 3 teams. 2, the bottom fell out of Louisville, right? And we thought they were going to be one of the top 3 or 4 teams. Florida State could not get healthy. We thought they were going to be one of the top 3 or 4 teams. And North Carolina didn't figure it out until February. And North Carolina, that's a top 10 to 12 team in terms of talent. Like you got Caleb Love,
we've been saying that all year.
Yeah. They're really good in terms of talent. And you know what's wild about what this Final Four could end up being? Duke basically plays 6 guys, right? Villanova played 6 guys before Justin Moore's injury. They might play 5 guys. North Carolina only really wants to play 5 guys. Like we talk about depth. There's no depth at this Final Four.
Yeah.
Most of the team throughout the year struggled with that. There hasn't been a lot of deep team. I think that's what enabled Virginia Tech to make a run that they ran. They found a bench and started playing. Darius Maddox started playing, and the young backup guard Padulas came in and started playing. It gave them minutes, and some teams are just throwing guys out there. I mean, you look at that North Carolina Baylor game. Dontre Styles didn't play at all during the year, and then he comes in and hits that big 3 to start their overtime game. Rob, and you were like, if he didn't make that shot, you didn't think they would even win the game. They were in trouble.
Lost.
And that's a guy he was buried on a bench. I mean, when I watched him play during the year, he was one of the guys they were bringing back out to work out after the game just to keep his conditioning up.
All right, RC, I got a question for you. It's a really important question too. I need an honest opinion on this, so I'm going to put you on the spot for it. Caleb Love, heading into the game yesterday, wore black shoes. At halftime, the director of player development came over to him and said that you've never once played well with black shoes. He went out and changed them for all Carolina blue Jordan 11s, right? In the second half, he came out, he scored 27 points in the half. Yeah. He hit the game tying 3 and what was essentially the game winning 3 on back-to-back possessions. Was it the shoes?
It has to be. Whatever it did, it gave him confidence or something. I mean, he's a streaky kid anyway. I think it's just, he saw it go in and he's really streaky and obviously talented, but he takes and makes some difficult shots. I think that's part of who he is. And he, once he gets shots going, but like I told you guys before, I think, the steady play of RJ Davis allows him to be sporadic, and he's been really consistent for them. And I think he's the reason why they're here.
Yeah. My question to you, Rob, is why the hell did it take this long for the director of basketball operations to figure it out?
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Hubert Davis said that guy needed a raise. Well, look, you know what?
Is that Hoots? I think it's Eric Hoots, maybe.
Yeah, you got to cut his
pay
Hoots a
little
bit. You got to cut his pay a little bit for
no,
waiting that long to figure it out. Waiting that long.
At least he did it at the right time. At least he did it.
He did it when they needed it. He saved the season.
Right. Yeah. They're one second place finisher in the MAC away from getting to the Final Four. So I guess there's only so much that you can actually complain about at this point. Listen, we got to step away here for a second. On the other side of this break, we're going to talk a little bit about Penny and the sanctions coming down at the University of Memphis.
Clear, 90 seconds.
All right, Greg, do we have any questions in the chat?
We don't have a ton in the chat right now. There was a lot of Memphis buzz, but we're going to get to that after the break. Yeah, not a ton going on right now.
Have my milk and cookies.
There you
go.
There you go. I'm getting ready.
You're a child.
I've never done
Jeffrey.
I know I've never done milk and I've done cookies. I've never done milk with cookies ever.
Wow,
that's sad. I don't know how to do it with this thing either.
Why?
What do you mean? Why? Why what?
Why have you never had milk and cookies?
I just haven't. I don't know. I was never given milk and cookies as a kid. I was completely.
You were deprived. You know what it was? Your parents probably got frustrated because you were that child that kept getting locked out of the hotel rooms whenever you went on vacation.
Dauster's ripping on you right now, Tal. For being locked out of the hotel room. So that's pretty sad.
I ran after the robot.
She ran after the robot. She was chasing the robot. She was going to tackle the robot.
I actually kind of did. I stopped him in motion.
You're good.
Are the cookies good?
They're really good. Really good. Did you already eat yours? You have one? There are only 3. Yeah. There were 4 the other day.
I left you 2 though.
All right. Thank you.
10 seconds.
Now we got to watch Goodman stuff his face. What is this broadcast?
We're towards the end of the year. Anything goes now.
We are live. It is the Field of 68 After Dark, Sirius XM Channel 84. That is the ESPNU station. Rob Dauster, Randolph Childress, Jeff Goodman, who now has a Miller High Life, living the high life.
Living that life.
We're going to preview the Elite Eight games on Sunday here in just a bit. Before we do that, we got to talk about a coach who is probably drinking a couple High Lifes right now after some news broke. Memphis got their notice of allegations. There were 4 level 1 violations, 2 level 2 violations, and a 7th violation that was redacted. I'm not sure exactly what it was. It seems like the worst of it, Jeff, was stuff that Memphis did to try to cover their tracks in terms of the violations that were committed. Apparently, they turned in like a wiped hard drive. They turned in a phone that had text messages deleted. I'm assuming was that Mike Miller?
Yeah, they didn't cooperate. And that's, listen, that's the biggest issue, right? Bruce Pearl back years ago, right? Lied to the NCAA. And what happened? He got that show cause at Tennessee and got fired. Mm-hmm. Times have changed a little bit, certainly. But, you know, how badly are they going to hit Penny Hardaway here for not cooperating? And again, even when all this stuff came out years ago, they kind of, instead of just falling on the sword, they went the opposite approach. And to me, that's just going to piss off the NCAA at this point. So you wonder how hard they're going to get hit. But again, yeah, Mike Miller, Penny Hardaway, those are the 2 central figures right now on the staff. Mike Miller's an agent right now. He's not coaching. It's funny. I put it out there recently that I thought he would be somebody that, Florida should look at when the opening came up, but I didn't realize that the violations were you can't hire Mike Miller now, obviously. And the big question is, like, how hard does Penny Hardaway get hit in this? Because this is different than USC or Auburn or even Sean Miller at Arizona or Kansas. This is a different deal. Again, when you don't cooperate, that's when the NCAA can just hit you with whatever the hell they want.
They're going to make an example out of them with that.
Yeah,
I think when you they're going to be upset about it, and people are going to bring in those other things and try to make those comparisons. Again, it's not a racial thing, but what you can't do is, it's like throwing yourself to the mercy of the court or going to trial. They always tell you, hey, if we go to trial and we got to spend all this money, I'm going for the max.
Yeah.
And if you know anything, that's the best analogy I can give to you when you're dealing with the NCAA. If you just you come in and say, hey, this is what happens. This is what we did, and kind of beg for mercy, so to speak. But when you try to hide it and they find out, then, like you said, the Bruce Pearl Tennessee situation is probably the more accurate description of it.
Yeah, the only thing I will say is this: we saw Oklahoma State bend over backwards to try to cooperate with the NCAA, right? Mike Boynton, I don't think he could have done anything else to be as cooperative as he possibly could have been. It's a new staff, new team, all that. The only violation that was ever confirmed was basically $300 being given to one player from a rogue assistant coach, and Oklahoma State got a 1-year postseason ban, and they found out literal days before the season was supposed to start. So why? Yeah, my counterpoint would be like, why would you do anything to help the NCAA when you help them and they're going to hammer you for really no good reason?
That one was just baffling, though. The Oklahoma State one makes no sense when you look at like USC and Andy Enfield and USC with an assistant coach going to jail and not getting anything. Like, I don't get that. I still, if I was Mike Boynton, if I was Oklahoma State, man, I'd be suing the shit out of the NCAA. Whatever I could. I don't get it. And I know you can't, but.
Jeff, you said that, but that was my point to all of that. I mean, we got to say, when we use that, we got to say the same thing with Book and Sean. Mm-hmm. I mean, Book goes to jail, and this man has felony on his record. He can't get a job at Amazon, and then Sean goes and he gets a job. And again, we like Sean, but he gets Xavier. It's nothing personal, but a guy went to jail.
Yeah.
And, Sean leaves Arizona, and then now he's right back in it, getting the head coach at Xavier, and Book is done.
Done.
And I don't understand. Like, those are the things that I'm talking. So when we talk about this, I know this Penny thing is just different because he was directly there. The Oklahoma State thing makes no sense because they, not everybody was even involved in that. This is directly linked to Penny, and he's got an answer for that. But my issue is those are some of the things that make people look at this and go, what are we doing? I've even said that about Rick. You know, Rick leaves Arizona, and then he can go on and he goes to Iona. Fine.
Yeah.
But Kenny Johnson goes to LaSalle, and LaSalle is like, hey, we can't have, that stuff that happened there. We can't.
It's because they feel, again, those are the guys who they actually had proof doing the deed, right? Like the other one is, whatever you want to call it, what do they call it? The term? It's slipping my mind right now.
But the biggest thing you always say is lack of institutional control.
Right,
the coach, the rule is the coach takes responsibility no matter what. If you're the head coach, Jeff, and Rob and I are running around here doing whatever the hell we want to do,
yep, it's on you.
You're supposed to fall on the sword anyway. Right. It doesn't matter. That's the rule. So that's my point in that. I don't understand. You can't say that. And then in those situations, it's like, all right, the rule don't apply to these guys. And then, but these assistants, and we're talking about a guy going to jail.
He never should have gone to jail. The fact that he went to jail for this entire thing was ridiculous. So, there was one actual.
But again, that's not NCAA. That's completely.
It's not.
That's
but there was one.
Different.
There was one. But here's the thing: there was one actual criminal in this. It's a guy named Marty Blazer who embezzled $2.35 million from clients to make a horror movie with the guy from the Green Mile, with Misha Barton, and with Devin Sawa. Right? He made a horror movie with those three actors that completely bombed. It has like a 0.45 on Rotten Tomatoes. It's one of the worst movies ever made. He stole more than $2 million from clients in Pittsburgh to be able to do that. And what happened was when the SEC discovered that, they basically said, okay, what can you give us? And he said, I will give you college basketball. And you know what he did? He gave him Book Richardson. He gave him, I blanking on the name of the assistant from USC. He gave him Lamont Evans, Tony Bland, gave him Chuck Person.
It's like bullshit. Listen, it was all bullshit. None of them should have went to jail.
Crime.
We know that.
There was no crime committed. It was a bunch of people operating in this
but we're not
up
like
the NCAA created. But hold on, let me finish. The reason why the NCAA came down with the punishments as hard as they did is because of how bad this entire scandal looked for the sport.
Sure.
If this investigation doesn't happen and it's just Book Richardson giving $15,000 to whoever he gave it to, then you know what he gets? He gets a couple year show cause. He'll get back in at some point. Right?
They didn't care. The NCAA doesn't give a shit about Book Richardson or Tony Bland or Chuck Person or Lamont Evans. They don't give a shit about any of them, right? Now, the question is, do they give a shit about Penny Hardaway? That's going to be the question. Because if they don't, they'll hammer him too. If they care about Memphis, if they care about Penny Hardaway, then they won't be that tough on him.
And look,
but how do you care about? But hold on, let me ask you. But before you even move on with that, I get that you don't care about these assistants, but you care about their head coaches, because that's what you're saying. So you don't give a shit about these assistants, but you give a shit about their head coaches.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is they have the actual.
And I get
proof.
what you mean.
Right, I'm looking at it.
But they're throwing this rule out there, and I know I'm not. We're talking to you, but you're not defending this. It's just a matter of they're throwing this lack of institutional control. That the rule is in play, and you know this because we've been in this for so long. The rule is in play for back in the day when you got caught cheating. I would just say, "Hey Jeff, I'm gonna take this hit. You just make sure I'm good. So I'm not gonna mess up your $3 million. I'm gonna lose my job. You just make sure I get it." So this rule was put into place so I could just sit there and say, hey, I'll take the hit and be fired and be out of the business. Just make sure I get a job somewhere else, making money, whatever. I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna take the hit for the team.
Yeah,
that's what this rule is for. And so that's why I know we're talking about Penny, but that's the issue. Even this was with Penny. So if you're not going to essentially do nothing to these other coaches, then what are we doing this for?
Yeah, I mean, again, what they're doing is we're years later, we're removed from it all. So now I think if they had done this early on, there was more of an outrage at that point, and they felt like they had to hit so hard, which is what they did immediately with, oh, well, these guys are going to jail. They got to be done, right? We got to hit them hard so that they're done. And now it's almost like, all right, like, does anybody care anymore? And nobody should have cared then. I mean, this was stupid to begin with, but now it's almost like, you know what? It's 5 years removed. How hard do we get? Yeah, we hit I mean, again, we'll see.
That's the other problem. Like with this Penny thing is it happened 3 years ago. James Wiseman is already washed up in the NBA, right? He's already injured and not playing in the NBA. And we're going to talk about punishing these guys now. That's the biggest issue with the NCAA. You can't.
And they're all getting paid. Moment. Whatever Penny did for Wiseman is basically legal now anyway. I mean, Wiseman would have made 20 times more than whatever Penny gave him.
I will say this. If Memphis gets hammered because they were basically told, don't play this kid, and then they played that kid, and then they waved it in the NCAA's face, like, you walked into that one. You know what I mean? Like I think
stupid. Yeah, it's stupid.
Just stupid. It's just stupid. So like you could sit here and say he shouldn't have been suspended in the first place, but you also
bad advice.
You were told not to play him, and you did whatever you wanted. But listen, we're gonna take a quick break here. When we come back, I am going to tell you why North Carolina and Kansas are virtual locks to be in the Final Four.
Clear, 90 seconds.
Hey, Jeff, just so you know, today's episode of The Field of 68 After Dark is sponsored by Honey. It's the easiest way for you to save money when shopping on your phone or your computer. Have you ever been to the spot? You're shopping for something online. You get to check out when it asks you for a promo code. You start Googling to try to find a way to save some money. Well, thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past because Honey is a free tool that scours the internet and finds you the one that best fits your cart. Here's how it works. You're shopping. You hit checkout. The Honey button pops up. You click apply coupons. You wait a few seconds. The price you pay goes down. I use Honey. I've told you guys this before. You know this. I bought my son all of his T-ball gear last weekend. And if you have kids, you know how expensive that is. But with Honey, I saved myself a good $45. And it's free. It's easy. It works on a desktop. It works on a laptop. It works on an iPhone. All you got to do is activate it in your Safari app. If you don't already have Honey, you are straight up missing out. By getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and you'll be supporting this show. I would never recommend something that I don't use myself. So get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/March Madness. Jeff, there's no word on whether or not Honey would help save you a couple of dollars on that room service bill that you're going to end up having to pay for all of those cookies.
3 cookies.
10 seconds.
I got the chocolate milk, but I don't know what to do with the chocolate milk. I just might have to drink it straight. Maybe, you know what? I might be able to pour it in here. Get creative.
Welcome back. Field of 68 After Dark. We are live. Sirius XM, channel 84. That is the ESPNU station. We're streaming over on YouTube. If you're watching there, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We get to 300 likes. I'll chug a beer on the stream. I'll do it. You don't have to tell me twice. My name is Rob Dauster. I have Randolph Childress. I have Jeff Goodman. We're presented by our partners over at Bet Rivers. Gentlemen, we have 2 Elite 8 games coming up tomorrow. I'm going to be at North Carolina and St. Peter's, and I do think that that's going to be the late game. I think that's going to end up being the more interesting game. So it's going to be the game that we are going to talk about first. Right now, according to Bet Rivers, North Carolina is an 8.5-point favorite. The total there is 137. Jeff, is there any way that this run for the Peacocks continues?
I mean, listen, is there any way we thought they would get this far? Like nobody thought they would get this far, and here they are. So, yeah, Shaheen Holloway and the Peacocks could absolutely win it. Like it's got to end, doesn't it? Like it's got to end. I mean, this Carolina team's talented. They're playing with confidence. Caleb Love looks like a damn NBA player. The second half of that game, RJ Davis has been good. Brady Manick's making shots. You know what? It's interesting, guys. I wonder if there's any correlation between Dawson Garcia not being with this program right now.
I was talking with someone about that yesterday. And they said that what's kind of happened is like Brady Manick has stepped into something of like a real leadership role in this team. And RC, we talked about this a lot earlier in the year, that this team lacked leadership. And what kind of happened was Brady Manick didn't really feel owner. Like he felt like he was a part of the group instead of being like, okay, I need to be the voice on this team. When Dawson Garcia left, it wasn't when he said he wasn't coming back. It was when like he was kind of gone and Brady Manick steps into the starting lineup and he's got to play a bigger role. Like he kind of he felt like his voice mattered more, and he was able to say stuff in practice and get on people and yell at Caleb Love and yell at RJ Davis and get Armando Bacot in line. And that kind of brought everything together. And now it's clicking because they kind of have like an anchor. Does that make sense? Like they have their center point in Brady Manick, and then you have all of this talent around him, and it just works now.
Yeah, and the rotation, right? You've kind of figured out your role, your rotation, and Manick and Garcia weren't the best playing together. You could see it defensively more than anything else. So I think, I think a part of it, honestly, they've been better without Dawson Garcia. I hope his family's well back home, but Carolina's been better without him.
Yeah,
it just allowed guys to play. It shortened the rotation, and he didn't have to look over his shoulder. Yeah. Before, if he made a mistake and people were attacking him, and he would come out because people were, that was a scouting report in the league. It was like, all right, where's Brady Manick? And then they were attacking him, and then you felt the need to be like, all right, let me get him out. Now it's like you got to make this work, leave him out there, let him figure it out, and play within that. And he's flourished under that.
Got his confidence up, and he gets his confidence up.
Yeah. And it wasn't just confidence in his ability; it was his confidence to be able to go cuss somebody out. Like it's hard if you are someone transferring into a program as a senior, as the new guy on the roster, coming off of the bench to step up and cuss out the guy that's supposed to be the lottery pick, right? To step in there and cuss out the guy that is a first team all conference center. Like that is a difficult thing to do. But when you're in the starting lineup and you start winning games and you're playing this role and people are like, you know what, he's kind of doing some good things out here, and you're hitting big shots and you're going for 26 points. Like all of a sudden, then you could sit there and be like, Caleb, get your shit together, man. What the fuck was that shot? You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden your voice carries a little more weight. So I think it was a lot of things there. And it might just be something where they just figured it out and they put it together and they started winning. But I don't think that it's a coincidence that you started seeing more consistent minutes for Brady Manick.
Well, I also feel like you wonder, and I kind of equate this a little bit to the Boston Celtics over the last month or so and how they've played, and everybody telling them, you guys suck. You guys suck. You can't play together. You suck. And they hear it over and over and over. And finally, you're like, screw this. Like, I'm going to show them. And I feel like Carolina was that way too. You're soft. You're soft. You're soft. You can't guard. You can't guard. And finally, it was like, F you. F you. I'm going to show you I do have some shit to me. And they stepped up, and give them credit. And Hubert's figured it out I mean, again, I said the narrative for Hubert, it is amazing, isn't it? What the NCAA tournament and one game in the regular season can do in completely flipping the narrative from somebody that I've said it. I mean, I said it 3 weeks ago. Was he the right hire for Carolina? I was questioning it. Wasn't saying that they should fire him. Certainly was saying give him another year or so and let's see what happens. But you'd rather have success in the tournament and against Duke at Cameron on Coach K night than the first 2.5 months of the regular season, wouldn't you?
And you know what? Maybe we should have given the new head coach a little bit of time to try to figure out the roster. Let me ask you this, RC. I'm going to put you in Shaheen Holloway's shoes, right? We've seen the way that you can beat Kentucky. We've seen the way that they beat Purdue, which is kind of muck it up. Find a way who you can help off of. Make sure you dig down on the big guys. Find a way to get those big guys pulled out and put into space on the perimeter. Hope your guys make plays, right? Is that the same game plan against North Carolina? Because their roster build is really not all that different from what Kentucky's is and what Purdue's was.
Well, I think the difference is that Brady Manick can shoot it. You're not going to make a living. You're not beating him unless they're just off. You got to guard him. You got to guard Love. You got to guard Davis. Now you can leave open Leaky Black, and you can't guard Armando one-on-one. So they're going to have to do something there. But they're also going to be able to attack him. They're going to attack those guys. They're going to put Armando in space and attack on the perimeter. They're going to attack Brady Manick on the perimeter. So it's going to be interesting to see that they're going to have a chance. Now, again, Carolina's playing as well as anybody. They're playing better than those teams that they played against. I'd say they're a hotter team coming in, and it's. Oh my gosh, I got to watch another Duke and Carolina Final Four. That's gonna be, oh my God.
I just hope the best part will be with you in New Orleans, having a talk about this every day. We're gonna bring more Carolina
and Duke. Do you know
players.
how drunk RC is gonna be by by the time we get to
You
that last
already
show
know.
on Friday. And for the
It'll be
people
his
that don't
worst
know,
nightmare.
we're going to be at Gordon Biersch, 6 to 8 p.m. Local time on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. And we're going to be there 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. local time on Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. Gordon Biersch, 200 Poitras Ave. If Shaheen Holloway ends up getting to the Final Four, I think it's fair to say he is going to be the next New York Knicks head coach. All right, Goodman, we're going to go to your region. We are going to go to Kansas. We're going to go to Miami. How do the Hurricanes get past the Jayhawks? And is Remy Martin now the most influential player in this tournament?
It's crazy what he's been able to do. And I talked to him about it for a while over the last couple of days. And he's been hurt all year. And he never told Bill Self this. I talked to Bill about it too. And Bill was like, I didn't really know he was hurt. And finally, he kind of went to him and he was like, all right, you want to play through it for a while? We'll see how that works. All right. So he plays through it. And finally, Bill went to him and he's like, we're shutting you down. We're shutting you down. You're not going to keep playing through this. This isn't working. You're not able to move. In that Kentucky game where they got blasted, he looked terrible. So they shut him down. And now he said, I said to him today, I'm like, how do you feel? Like, what's the percentage? He's like, no, 100. He's like, I feel the best I have all year. I feel completely healthy. And not only do you have him at 100%, but there's not a lot of mileage on him lately.
Right.
So I think fresh, and he can go. And it just gives him that dimension now where they didn't have anybody like that. What do you do at the end of the game? All right, DeJuan Harris. Yeah, like he's a great defensive player, but
it's more than that. It's more than that. Like at this point, every coach knows every call that these other teams have, right? Like Ed Cooley could diagram every play that Kansas was running when it was called. And then what Remy does is when the other team knows what you're doing, you can't run anything. You just give the rock to him and say, "Go get us a good one."
He's made him that much. He's made him that much better because you're right on the calls. All you do all year long is you're calling up everybody in their leagues and getting everything about them, and everything that's coming. But now, Abaji gets open a little bit more. Wilson gets that. Everybody, McCormick will get an open look. Everybody gets more freedom now because now you got to guard that dude. He can flat out go. So you got to. He becomes a focus of the scout report. I think you got to contain him now.
Yeah.
Guys, we got 30 seconds. We got 30 seconds here. So Jeff, really quick, give me your Final Four picks. Is it Kansas, North Carolina?
Kansas, North Carolina, Duke,
RC?
and Villanova, baby.
What
a Final Four.
Guaranteed 50%. What do you got, RC? Kansas, North Carolina?
Yeah, I think it's the same.
I'm there as well. Listen, this has been the Field of 68 After Dark. Coach K is back in the Final Four. Jay Wright is back in the Final Four. We will see if we're going to get 4 blue bloods there as well. So this has been the Field of 68 After Dark for Randolph Childress, for Jeff Goodman and his cookies. My name is Rob Dauster.
Awesome. All clear.
Thanks, Luke. All right. We got anything in the chat? We got any questions in the chat? What's going on, chat? How we doing, chat? It's been a while.
Chat's doing well. Chat's picking up a little bit. We got a question for the wonderful Randolph Childress. Say North Carolina defeats St. Peter's. Who do you personally want to win that game, Duke or North Carolina?
Ooh, I want to know this one too.
You're about to make me curse. I don't give a rat's ass which one. I honestly, I don't care. But I will say this. On a serious note, I truly respect what Coach K is doing and what he's done in his career, and it would be a storybook ending if he was to win. Like it's fitting for the greatest college coach that ever do it to go out on a national championship team. But I also have a tremendous amount of respect for Hubert. Hubert's following 2 of the top 10 greatest coaches to ever do it as well. I mean, Coach Smith and Roy are up there on that list. And, we talk about Shire not wanting to follow a guy. This guy is following 2 of the greatest coaches to ever do it at a blue blood. And for them to start out the year that they had, and we all were critical of him. The Carolina fan base was critical of him.
Right.
And that for them to be where they are right now, that's it's credit to him. So that would be how I would side. I'm happy for being an ACC guy. I'd be happy for either school, but a preference, I wouldn't care who won.
I want to ask you guys this.
RC wants a tie.
Yeah. I want something never happened before.
Right.
Yeah, no. What you want is them both to end up getting positive tests, and the other side of the bracket just becomes a national championship game.
Bring
That's
somebody
what you
else
want.
in. What's the rule?
That's
What's
what you
the
want.
rule this year?
Yeah,
You got to sub
forfeit.
it out.
St. Peter's.
You got to sub another ACC team in. Oh wow, look at that, Wake Forest in the Final Four. How
Wake
did that happen? How much, Jeff? How much leeway does this get Hubert? If it like, if he gets a, even if he doesn't get
4 years, 4 years.
It changes the
What-
narrative.
okay, what happens if they lose to St. Peter's tomorrow? Is it still the same thing?
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but you still went to the Elite Eight, like next to your name in year one. Elite Eight. Oh, by the way, you beat Duke on Coach K night too. That's the other thing in parentheses. So, he's got 4 years of equity built up on going to this Elite Eight and beating Coach K.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
If they get to the Final Four in the national championship, it wouldn't shock me if they extend them.
No, they will. Of course, they'll extend them.
They'll just
But
come in
again-
and make the announcement right then and there.
But that's dumb. Okay, so in my opinion, again, and I'll use this as an example last year, a little bit different, but Oregon State, Wayne Tinkle goes to the Elite Eight last year, and they give him a new deal with like $15 million guaranteed. And it's the dumbest shit ever because he wins 3 games this year and he wins 1 game in conference play. And where the hell is Wayne Tinkle going? You're bidding against yourself. It's dumb ADing. And to me, where's Hubert going? Now, he did a great job this year, but like, all right, let's wait. We want to see another year, Hubert. We saw the regular season. And to be honest, you were disappointing in the regular season until the final game. You were. Kind of like we talked about the ACC early, right? You were disappointing, and then you flipped it.
Hold on, guys. We have a very important question in the chat that just came in.
Yeah.
Casey Kennedy wants to know. He told the chat that if St. Peter's wins the national title, he is going to go buy a peacock, and he wants to know how much a peacock would cost him.
That's great. That's awesome. Can anybody Google how much a peacock is?
I don't know. We need to find out. We need to have him at the show in New Orleans. He needs to come to New Orleans.
I mean, I bet you could buy a peacock down there in New Orleans somewhere, right?
I guarantee they got peacocks in New Orleans.
All right. So if St. Peter's gets there, Rob, you're getting in a little bit earlier Wednesday. Do you think you could scout out maybe buying a few peacocks?
I could look it up. I could figure it out.
I mean, imagine Dauster rolls in.
I'm bringing. Hey, look! If they make the Final Four, I'm going to buy 2 peacocks. I'm going to get leashes. I'm going to bring them to Gordon Biersch. We are going to have peacocks on the show.
Hey,
that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
All right, I got a producer
Dagan.
bomb. The price of a grown peacock on average costs anywhere between $35 and $275.
That's
right.
it.
We'll buy like 20 of them.
$35. It's $35 for a grown peacock. What is a group of peacock called? Like you got like a flock of birds, right? What's a group of peacocks called?
Now you're asking too many questions, Rob. Come on here.
That's right.
He ain't got time to Google that one.
$35 to $275 for a peacock. We'll buy a flock of peacocks.
Yeah, I'm sure we can get a few of those up on set.
Actually, what we should do is get a peacock. Don't tell T.O. and we'll open his at night. We'll open his door at night, his hotel room. Let the peacock in. I'm great with that.
Oh man, we need some night cam footage or something.
And Dauster knows. Hey, Dauster, of anybody knows from me, what I will do, I would absolutely do it. No questions asked.
RC, I'm going to warn you right now. Goodman loves pranking people. Loves pranking people.
Bad. It's bad.
You need to be careful down there.
You need to be on guard, huh?
Okay. According to Squirrel in the chat, a group of peacocks is known as a muster. So if St. Peter's makes it to the Final Four, I'm going to buy a muster of peacocks for $35 a pop and bring them into Gordon Biersch. It's going to be awesome.
We're letting them in T.O.'s room. That's what we're doing. Imagine 20 peacocks.
Imagine waking up to 5 peacocks in your room at 3 o'clock in the morning.
We should just have him already delivered before he gets there. Just open his room up and have him sitting in there.
Okay, this might be the best question we've ever gotten from the chat. This is from Josh Gillum, and he wants to know, what does the $275 peacock do that the $35 peacock can't?
That is
Damn good question.
That's a elite level question.
That's a big time question. That's a high major question, right?
The $35 peacock only has the tail, but you got to pay at least $200 to get the one that has it spread out, right?
Oh, it might be a low, like RC said, it's like the low major peacock compared to the high major peacock.
Yeah, it's a high major peacock. That's all.
It's the number of little eye things that they got on them. You know how those little circles on their feathers? That's what it is. Oh man, this one off the. What were we talking about?
I got you. We got some actual good basketball related questions in the chat.
All right, we go. I don't want.
All right, we go.
Do we have to answer the basketball?
Do we have to answer the basketball ones, or can we have more like?
We're not a peacock show yet. We may be a peacock show if St. Peter's wins tomorrow night, but not yet.
Noah King said we have to change the name from Field of 68 to Muster of Peacocks.
Hey, good transition.
The Muster of Peacocks.
Noah King's asking good, real questions here, and I'm going to tweak his question slightly. If you had to pick one player from the teams remaining in the tournament that you want on your team at this point, who's the player?
The one player you want on your team?
You know my answer.
Colin Gillespie?
Yep. Yeah. Hell yeah. I'm taking that dude. Now, I don't know if he's got enough around him anymore without Justin Moore, his sidekick. And I still say Justin Moore is the best 35% three-point shooter that I have ever seen in college basketball, because I felt like every time the ball left his hands, it was going to go in the basket. And it's a huge blow for Villanova. But I just trust Colin Gillespie. He's a damn robot. He makes every right play. Now, again, he's not the most talented dude in the world. And he's also like an incredible leader and extension of the coach on the floor. But they all play like robots.
He
so
had me
tough.
jumping off my sofa tonight. I don't know if y'all pay no attention to it, but if you go back and watch the 5-minute mark, they came out of a timeout, cutting the game down. It was close, and he gets it. Houston's making a run. He got it on that right wing. And he snatches it left and hit him with the hezzy, and my man jumps and he crosses it back and pulls up. I about jumped off my sofa tonight. It was right at the 5-minute mark. It was the first bucket to get them kind of pulling away at the end.
That was it made it 44-40, right?
Woo.
That play? Is that the shot?
It was impressive. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah,
that was a big time move. It's a big time move. I would go with Paulo too. I think he's kind of when Duke's in trouble, he stops all them jump shots and just get to that mid post and then goes to work.
You know what's been really good about Paulo in this tournament? I feel like they didn't really do it against Virginia Tech, and it didn't really happen against North Carolina. And I feel like when Duke loses, they forget that Paulo Banchero, if you get him isolated like 19 feet from the bucket, just get him on someone that you know cannot guard him and just say go. That's Duke's best offense. And it feels like when they lose, they go away from that. Right. Yeah, you mentioned the mid post. Like he reminds me a little bit of Carmelo, where it's not the most. They're different in the way that they get these buckets, but the stuff that he does great is not going to be the most efficient thing. Like Carmelo, he's going to be hitting like 21-foot jumpers all day long, long twos all day long, and it's not the most efficient shot, but it works for him. Same thing with Paulo. Like just isolate him, get him on the elbow, and just let him go. You're going to be
efficient for them.
Yeah, it works for him.
Yeah,
it's not the most efficient shot in basketball, but you need that from him in those moments, and Duke will be at their best when they get that from him. You know, does that make sense? I still would take Gillespie though.
It's one of those things where we get so analytically driven right now. There's plenty of guys in the NBA that's going to have Hall of Fame careers being mid-range shooters. And he just needs to be a guy to take some threes when they're available, get in that mid post, and just go to work. And because he's going to shoot it at a high clip. A lot of guys won't, but he will. It's a good shot for him.
Yeah, the most important thing about being a three-point shooter is that teams come out to guard you. It's the threat of the shot, the space that it creates. Where would Doug Eddert be on your list of players that you have to have on your team? Colin Gillespie, Paolo Banchero,
Well,
Doug
the same place he'd be if he showed up at the playground and you were picking dudes. He probably might be picked behind me if you looked at everybody at the playground.
He's in my rotation. He's coming off the bench for me, but he's in a rotation.
There's never been someone, you know how they say they got like the look the part all-stars, right? There's never been someone that has looked less the part than a basketball player than Doug Eddard.
It's amazing, isn't it? Amazing.
Yep. And they run shit like it's not just like he's not just standing out there and shooting either. Like they legitimately run shit for him at the end of games. Mm-hmm. Every game they try to get him coming off a pin down or get him coming off a curl. Like Shaheen trusts him to make the right play in a big moment.
All right, so I have one for you guys. Is Kansas the clear-cut favorite today? I said they were last night, I think.
Duke to me.
But Duke has to get through now Carolina or maybe St. Peter's, but let's say Carolina, where now Kansas has to get through.
Kansas has to win 2 games to get to the national title game.
All right, so that's fair. Mm-hmm. That's fair, but Kansas also gets Villanova without Justin Moore.
No, I hear you. And 6 hours ago, I would have said that Kansas was probably the favorite. I wouldn't call them clear cut, but right now I would say it's Duke.
No, you wouldn't have, because 6 hours ago, Justin Moore was healthy. So you wouldn't have said that. You might not have. Good point. That's what I'm saying. Like if you have confidence Kansas is going to get past Miami, then they get Villanova without Justin Moore. Now, again, there's a lot of intangibles here, right? Like Duke might get St. Peter's, but you're going to say most likely Duke's going to get North Carolina and Kansas gets Villanova without Justin Moore. Kansas then, if this all happens, Kansas is the favorite. Kansas is the favorite. They've had the easier road. And I think they're playing great basketball. Well, I shouldn't say great basketball, great defensive basketball. And offensively,
they're playing great basketball.
They were bad. They're bad offensively. They were bad the other night offensively. Other than Remy,
but you know why? You know why? You know why? Providence is a good defensive team, and they're well coached and they're well scouted. That's all. The reason why, and you've been saying this all season long, so I will actually give you credit for this. You've been saying all season long the key for Kansas is going to be getting Remy Martin healthy. And now he's healthy. And now you have a game breaker. Now you have a dude. They didn't have that before where you could just give someone a rock and say, go make something happen. That's not O'Shea. That's not Christian.
No, and he makes contested, tough shots. And
he makes something out of nothing. And you need that in the tournament. You need someone that can make something out of nothing.
You know what else?
Multiple guys that can make something.
Ochai, the great thing of Ochai right now, like a year ago, Ochai, I'd be super scared of him right now because his confidence. I'd be worried about his confidence because he didn't have that. Now you could just see it in him today. He's like, I'm so happy we've won and I haven't even played well. And like, he's got that swagger to him. He's got that. So like, I don't think he's going to come in overthinking it, RC. Like you had that swagger. You had that confidence. You could go 0 for 10 and it didn't matter. Ochai a year ago, if he went 0 for 5, it was in his head. Now, doesn't matter.
I think having that guy, like you said, having Remy there changes everything for him and for that team. They know, it just makes it easier for everybody now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Greg, what else we got?
Just want to say my brain's still in a puddle because you guys have all watched Paolo Banchero this tournament, and you all consensus just chose a guy who played 34 minutes tonight with 1 for 6 from the floor and 1 assist as the one player you take, but that's okay. A couple questions from multiple people in the chat. Jeff, I don't know if you want to get into this or not, but they're wondering what happened with Dane Fife at Indiana.
No, you know me. I'll get into anything. I don't.
Jeff's had 4 blue moons. You could ask him his social security number. He'd tell you right now.
And a little bit of a Miller High Life, which is disgusting, by the way. Miller High Life is nasty.
All right, I'm going to tell you why Miller High Life got that name as soon as you talk about Fife.
All right, so here's the thing with Fife and Woodson. Oil and water. Dane Fife likes to talk a lot. He likes to talk a lot. And Woody kind of, like that's not Mike Woodson. It comes from the NBA background and doesn't talk much and just wants to do his thing. And, I think Dane just talked too much. I'll kind of leave it at that.
Yeah.
Those are a lot of those. It happens all the time where coaches are like, "Would you shut the?"
Yeah. And it
You
wasn't
have
necessarily
that,
right here that he was talking. It might have
Right.
been outside the huddle, outside the building. It
Right.
might have been a little bit everywhere. But hopefully Dane, finds another spot. But man, Woody fired him and then he ran him over on the way out, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was a little surprised about because that's like IU on IU crime, right? Like that was a little surprising, but to each their own.
Whatever he said, to your point, though, he must have went out and said something to someone, kind of getting back at Mike that he didn't like that Mike was doing, and Mike kind of was
100%.
like, you know what, I'm gonna come back and kind of drive
I
this
don't give a
bus over
shit.
your ass.
Yeah, for Mike Woodson to do that,
Right.
And again, Mike Woodson, known as a high character human being, for him to do that, he felt like he had been wronged.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So Miller High Life. The reason it's called Miller High Life, the champagne of beers, is because when back in like World War II, when all of the men in America were off fighting the war, Miller still needed to sell beers, so they were trying to find a way to market it to women. So they called it High Life, the champagne of beers. That's why it's kept that name, and now it's the worst beer imaginable. But they were trying to sell it and market it as like the best beer that you could get, the tastiest beer, the classiest beer. And now it's like when I go to a dive bar and it's like, yeah, give me a shot of rail bourbon and a Miller High Life. That's what it is. It's like when you're trying to decide, do I want to drink this PBR? Do I want to drink this Natty Light? Or do I want to drink this Miller High Life? That's where we're at with it.
Let me ask you guys this. If we get the 4 Blue Buds in the Final Four on the show, which one of the guys would you want to talk to of their former players?
What do you mean? Of
any of them? Who would be your favorite UNC UNC guy to talk to?
If I could get one,
all right, let's go through each program.
Where we go?
All right,
that's what I was thinking when we said
let's start on the other side of the bracket. Right? Let's start Villanova. Goodman, you go first.
Villanova. None of them have like a ton of. Talked to Jalen Brunson recently. Who? I mean, I love Easy Ed. Like Easy Ed's good, but he's chill. He's a little chill. Like I'm trying to think who don't I know well. You guys jump in if you got one, because I'm still thinking about a former Villanova guy that I don't know. Dwayne McClain.
No, I would want. I think it would be Ed Pinckney. I think Ed Pinckney's the guy to get the stories from that 1985 team and that 1985 run. Right, that's the one you got to get. Either him or someone like a Corey Fisher or a Corey Stokes that could tell you all about how bad it got under Jay Wright from like 2010 to 2012. Those are the two for me.
Now,
those other guys like
Brunson or Pinckney was going to be the guy.
I go Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. That is.
Kyle Lowry. Yeah, there's no bullshit with Kyle. Like I love Easy Ed again, but I talk to Easy Ed all the time. So like that one for me would be, I want somebody I can't necessarily talk to, and I haven't talked to Kyle, and I want to ask Kyle too. Kyle, here's a great one. I think I've said this before, but I remember years ago, first time I saw Kyle Lowry. RC, you'll like this. Slam dunk to the beach. I'm young at this point. I'm probably 25 years old. Maybe the second year I'm covering Slam dunk to the beach, which was the best high school event. Period back then. It's in Lewis, Delaware. And I'm sitting next to Joe Jones.
Okay.
Now the head coach.
It's not Lewis, it's Lewis, Delaware.
Really? You sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Lewis. It's not Lewis.
I don't know. I used to call it Lewis. But listen, you pronounce everything wrong. So my guess is it's Lewis, Delaware. So I'm going Lewis until somebody actually who knows what they're talking about tells me otherwise. Anyway, I'm sitting under the basket next to Joe Jones, who was with the Villanova assistant coach at the time, now the Boston University head coach. And we're watching this kid, Kyle Lowry. And I think Jay Wright, early on in his tenure, he must have told Joe to watch him. And we're watching him. Both of us look at each other. We're like, man, I don't think he's good enough for Villanova. And How about that? Like this dude, not only is he good enough for Villanova, he's an NBA All-Star. He's an NBA champion. He is just tough as shit.
He fits it.
Yep. So that would be my Villanova one.
Yeah, who's yours, RC? Easy Ed?
I was going to say somebody like that. I would go to either the 80, someone from the 80s, or I would have went with more recently, just for, like Brunson. Somebody that could add some context to them trying to win a national championship or something like that.
All right, let's do Kansas next.
Kansas. Who would be the guy Kansas that you want to talk to the most? Like Danny Manning's the nicest dude in the world, but again, kind of like Easy Ed.
Paul Pierce. I say Paul Pierce.
Would you smoke weed, and would you want to be smoking weed while you're talking to Paul Pierce?
No, Paul Pierce.
You get the real stories.
Look,
right?
Paul Pierce,
we don't. RC doesn't need to bring Danny Manning on here to have a conversation with him. Okay.
Yeah. I go with Paul Pierce on that one. There'd be a lot of different stories on that one. Paul will get my vote.
That's a good one.
What about Brandon Rush?
I would go Sharon Collins. Sharon Collins is entertaining as hell.
Yeah,
he'd have some stories too.
He's nuts.
Sharon would be good, but Paul would be elite. I mean, Paul's elite, and I'm sure he's got some great stories. I mean, the Morris twins, like their stories about shooting the BB gun or whatever they're shooting out the window. I mean, they must have. I know they had some shit. I mean, Joel. How about Joel?
Oh,
like, come on. You wouldn't want to have Joe. Like, honestly, more than Paul Pierce, you wouldn't want Joel sitting there with us.
No. You know who I would want.
Yes.
You know what I would want.
Joel.
No, more than Joel. I would want Andrew Wiggins to come on so I could ask him two questions. One, whether or not he thought that the fact that he didn't look you in the eye meant that he wasn't going to be a good NBA player.
Okay.
And two, if, according to Jeff Goodman, he was actually a worse basketball player than Aaron Kraft.
I never said worse. I said I would rather have Aaron Kraft that year in college. And you know what? Andrew Wiggins He had 6 points in that game against Stanford in the NCAA tournament. So I was proved correct.
All I'm saying is you would rather have Aaron Kraft. That actually, honestly, that's kind of like us saying we'd rather have Colin Gillespie.
Thank you. Learn from your mistakes, boys. Come on.
One game. All right, the Carolina one.
Go off on us for that. He was ready.
If anybody picks anybody other than one person for the Carolina one, they should be taken off this right now. Like there's no other decision that could be
Jumpman.
Yeah,
the logo.
Come on.
The logo.
Really, right?
RC's like, RC's like, I was texting with him yesterday.
That's cool. I mean, I agree.
That's cool and all.
Yeah, I mean,
right? I mean, who are you going to pick?
Ideal. Yeah.
Like, who's number 2? James Worthy?
I would want to get somebody from that time if I could. I mean,
me too.
It would be ideal. I would want someone from that Worthy, Perkins.
I like Worthy. I interviewed Worthy when I was like 14 years old. RC, my voice hadn't changed.
Oh, this is great. Yeah, tell this. This is actually a great story. Tell the story how you got this.
So my buddy and I go down. We're like 14, 15 years old. We go down to the Westin Hotel, the Copley Hotel in downtown Boston, and I don't know. We probably blew off school at that point, and I just went down. And James Worthy is in the lobby coming back from practice, and we asked him, "Hey, we work for our school newspaper. Can we interview you?" And he's like, "Yeah, call me later at the hotel. Call me later tonight." So we go back home, and we're like, "Oh shit! Like we never interviewed anybody, nothing." And we're like, first of all, we put together these lists of questions, the dumbest fucking questions you've ever heard. Yeah, who was your idol when you were younger? Like, what's your favorite color? Like the dumbest shit ever. And then we're like, all right, how are we going to record this thing? Well, back then, I don't know if you remember, this was before Dauster's time, but the only way to record, the answering machines have these little micro cassettes in them, an outgoing and an incoming one. So you hit record on it. The problem was you hit record on it and it beeped every 2 seconds and the other person could hear it as you're doing the interview. So literally doing the interview with James Worthy, I sound like I'm a 12-year-old girl. I'm asking the dumbest fucking questions ever. And it's beep every 2 seconds. Beep, beep, beep. And James Worthy did the entire interview, didn't flinch. And
Wow.
I'll never forget it. I mean, again, never forget it. Like, who does that? Who does that? And Michael Cooper did it also. So both Coop and James Worthy. And I should play it one day. I'd probably have them somewhere. And you guys can make fun of me for how bad it was. But that's the first interview I ever did.
Can I just tell you that Frank Martin is absolutely teeing off on people on Twitter right now? There are guys going at him. One guy says, how much of a haircut did you take off of the 1.8 million they were offering Schmidt when you got the job? And Frank Martin said, I don't have hair, therefore I don't need a haircut. Let's have some fun.
Frank,
going
man.
at him, man.
Frank's the best.
He's going at him.
Frank got on the stream the other night, RC. He closes his deal with UMass literally as he's starting the show with us.
But he left the prep. He left the rundown to go take a phone call, right? And he's like, "Yeah, we just, I don't want to say too much, but he basically was like, yeah, it's done. We just locked it up right there."
And he did next hour and a half. Literally didn't flinch.
And the whole time he's like, "I'm not employed. I don't have anything to worry about here." By the way, all right. So let's go back to the conversation about who we would want to talk to.
Yeah,
I need a clarification here, Jeff.
Okay.
So when you say who we would want to talk to, is it me in particular, or is it like us, the Field 68 group altogether?
For what?
For who we want to talk? Is it me in particular, or is it like
you individual?
Okay, but is it a one-on-one conversation, or is it like having them on the show? Because I would want to talk to Michael Jordan. I'd want to talk to Tyler. There's lots of people from North Carolina that I would want to talk about from a strictly content perspective. Number 2 on the list from North Carolina that I would want to talk to is Jeff McGinnis, because I know that Randolph Childress is going to be right there. So we can ask him about this. So we can ask about, come on, ask about why are you on the floor over there? What are you doing? What are you doing? Hold on. Let me just hit this shot right here real quick. So we can ask him what it feels like to be a meme. Okay. That's what I would want.
You know, what's funny on it. Seriously, I thought about doing something with that in order to, because people just, they ripped this dude with this. And I know it bothers him. And I really wanted to say to him, like, after all this time, like, all right, you know, we obviously didn't know what this was going to happen, turn into, but the way he acts now. Yeah. But let's have some fun. Like, is he in a place to have some fun with it?
Right.
Or is he in a place to, right. Or is he, if he's not, then addressing it. So I'm going to find out at some point, because I would love to be able to.
Who would you go to find out? Like, is there a third party?
I know Jeff. No. I know Jeff. I've been around him. I've seen him all the time. I see him quite a bit. I mean, we're cordial when we speak. Yeah. I just know, when he's alone and people get on him about it, that's just part of it.
Yeah.
Hey, if that was you, wouldn't you be a little salty about it too? How many people know about Jeff McGinnis for anything other than getting crossed over by Randolph? Like, that's who he is. His career, he had a successful NBA career. He's a really good AAU coach. I'm sure he's done a lot of things in his life that are to be lauded, right? And the only thing people know him for is we're falling down when you crossed him, and now he's a meme. So anytime someone wants to talk about getting dunked on or get crossed, he is that meme. I'd be salty as hell too. I wouldn't want to talk to you either, RC. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. All right, let's go to Duke. Who would you want to get on the show for Duke?
Go ahead, RC.
They got a bunch. I'm stuck between Ferry or Lakener. Either one, probably more Lakener. I'd say Lakener.
He's gonna better stories.
He's going. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And he's going to tell it.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! I'd like to get him and Hurley. I would like to get him and Hurley together for the show. Could we do
and
that?
They're going to be there. I know they're there. I know we'd be able to pull that off too, because they're going to be there.
And they kind of, remember there was some shit there between them. Yeah. You wonder, like them together, would they have fun telling those stories now, or is Bobby still pissed at how like Christian treated him at times, or it'd be interesting.
It's breaking something story about it. Yeah, it's like
it's Leitner. No questions.
Gotta
about it.
be.
Yeah.
Gotta be. Gotta
Yeah.
be.
like,
So
we don't
really,
have options.
the easy ones are to me Duke, Carolina, Kansas a little more difficult. We agree.
Mhm.
And Villanova, we agree on Lowry or no?
Can we trade talking to someone from Villanova to talking to like somebody else from literally any of the other schools? The Villanova guys they're just
who else is
robots, man. They're so
Yeah.
boring.
Yeah.
Josh Hart's pretty good. He's
He's
pretty
a Chelsea
good.
fan. He's a Chelsea fan.
He's fun. He's fun. He's a little more outgoing than a lot of. He's not like your typical Villanova kid. He's got some more shit to him, I think. And Lowry, if you go back, they weren't robots. That's the thing. Like the A. Ray, the Curtis Sumter, the Jason Frazier, the Nardi, those guys. Now Nardi's become a robot because he's got a coach under Jay right now. But yeah, like Lowry would be good. I'm trying to think of who else early on.
Kurt's a funny guy. Kurt's
Awesome. Kurt's
yeah,
great.
Kurt's a funny guy. But like we don't have to. Why would he has a podcast on our network?
I know, but if we got them all, what you got to do, like we got to get a bunch of those dudes down. We will. We'll that's what we'll work.
Here's what we would need. We would need to get Kurt and Jason Frazier and Alan Ray and Randy Foy and get them all to come together and let them kind of gas each other up. Because especially if we're sitting in a bar and we happen to and just somehow there ends up being some kind of alcoholic beverage put in front of them as they happen to be on the show, things might get a little looser, might get a little bit more fun.
I'm pretty sure we can get a bunch of those guys together.
Dagan. Greg, we got anything else?
Greg, we got anything else
I
in
was
the chat?
hoping we could actually phone in Dagan. He's probably 21 glasses of champagne deep at this wedding right now.
Yeah.
I think
passed out.
The chat's pretty tapped out at this point. Let's go to our cheers.
All right. I agree with that.
RC, you lead it off.
I'm going to give it to the GOAT, man.
Yeah.
Coach K.
Yeah.
Final four. I mean, what else can you say?
Can't.
Some guys turning around.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have? I mean, honestly, I'm surprised. Like, if you had told me that they were going to be in the Final Four at the beginning of the season, this final year, I probably would have been a little bit surprised. But, man, they've been great.
It might be the favorite now.
The beauty of this is there's not going to be a clear favorite. All four teams, if it works out
look how much foam is in Goodman's beer right now. Look how much foam.
What the hell happened? What happened?
What did you do?
I don't even know. I have no idea. Right. I wasn't paying attention.
All right, Goodman,
a lot
you
of
go
foam there, though.
Miller High
Life. Miller High Life, the beer of champions. I'm going to go with Justin Moore. I'm toasting Justin Moore because, man, I feel so bad. I love Justin Moore. I seriously, I think he's a pro. I hope he comes back strong. Just sucks. It just sucks. It really sucks for the kid because I think they could have won the whole thing with a healthy Justin Moore. So Justin Moore, feel better, my man. And you've had one hell of a season, one hell of a career, and get better.
It's not fair. It's not fair that kind of an injury in this moment is just not like. Yeah, just.
Can you hear my daughter snoring from there?
Yeah.
No.
Can you?
Yeah.
She's doing some serious snoring over here.
Loud and clear. And clear. So I mean, I was gonna go with Justin Moore. That was gonna be mine. My backup was Coach K.
Go to your third string. Come on, go deep.
I got nothing to Edgar Walker.
Nothing.
What else could there be? What else could there be?
Well, like I don't know. Was there a player on Duke who played well, Robert?
Not really.
Really? Mark Williams didn't change that game in the first half?
He was okay.
Oh my God. Are you kidding?
What about AJ Griffin?
He was fine. He was all right. You know what I'm going to cheers to? I'm going to cheers to Pellegrino, who has gotten at least $50,000 worth of brand exposure from RC.
Mean, truthfully, they ought to send me some crap to my house, man.
He said, "Send you some what?"
They ought to send some bottles to the house or something. Now, much exposure they didn't got.
Some crap to the house.
Yeah.
Oh man. No, here's I'm going to cheers to New Orleans.
Cheers to a muster.
Yeah, I'm gonna cheers to a muster of peacocks. I'm hoping that tomorrow at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, we are going to have a muster of peacocks.
Because I'll tell you what, if they win,
oh my God,
T.O. ain't gonna know what hit him in New Orleans. That's what I'm saying.
But hey, listen, and we got to give a $35 one, about 3 or 4 to $35 one.
Listen, RC, I'll pay for 4 of the $250 ones. It don't matter; it'll be worth it if he marks in that room. And I'd rather him not. See, I'd rather do it when he's sleeping. Somehow find a way to get him in there while he's sleeping, than have him when he opens the door and he checks in. It'd be a whole lot better if all of a sudden they're wandering there when he's sleeping. Wakes up. Oh,
we gotta arrange that.
I'll get so much mileage out of those peacocks. I mean, I'm telling, they'll be coming with me down Bourbon Street.
Goodman's gonna be walking down Bourbon Street with
a leash
in his hand, like he's a dog walker. Nothing but peacocks on a leash. All right, Greg, end the stream.